So I figured that I should probably end the LP with the actual final boss. So I'm going to do a quick bonus video showing the spell cards from 6A. And I'm not going to do it on stage practice for the same reason I didn't do 4A on stage practice, but I do at least have the replays of her spell cards, and I think this is the first one. Let me check this. Yeah, that was Reisen's final spell, so let's go to the boss of 6A. So her name is Eirin, Eirin Yagokoro, and like Reisen, actually I don't know if I mentioned that Reisen was from the moon, but I don't know if it got edited out in that mess of a stage 5 recording attempt. So yeah, the culprits who have done something with the moon are actually from the moon, and this is Eirin. She's the one who actually what she did was replace the moon with a substitute, because basically she's hiding the stage 6B boss from the people on the moon. Let's see, her next spell, Genealogy of the Skyborn. I don't remember exactly what all of her spells are, but when I see them I will have an idea of what. Okay, this one is really hard. You can see it took me 111 tries. It's just, you have to stay in these lanes while avoiding the lasers, and it doesn't look like it should be that bad, but the lanes can be really mean sometimes, and you kind of have to change lanes sometimes, because the lane appears in the middle of two others, and it's hard to read, and the lasers actually can become a problem if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I actually played that and captured it, so... But I remember it being really difficult. This one is probably her easiest spell card. In fact, I didn't even save a replay of it before, so I just went and made one right before recording this. So these blue bullets that spawn aren't dangerous at all. What they do is they make it tricky to read the red stuff coming at you. And this is actually really similar to one of Kaguya's non-spells. Kaguya is the stage 6B boss, by the way. So she has a non-spell that's really similar to that, in that it's got those like dense formations of huge bubble bullets, and you just kind of have to trust the hitboxes on those, because the hitbox is a lot smaller than the sprite. But with the sprite being so large, it sometimes covers up other bullets, and so you have to really pay attention and look for openings. And that mesh of blue bullets that spawns, that's not dangerous in terms of hitting you, makes it a lot harder to read those openings coming for you. So, but it's not that hard. And this one, I apparently saved my name wrong. I put a J at the end, which is pretty strange. Omoi Kane's Brain. Eirin is regarded as basically perhaps the genius of Toho. Certainly one of them, along with maybe Patchouli or a couple other characters, but widely regarded as the most intelligent character in Toho. So she has a brain spell card, and it's pretty difficult. You have to circle around shepherded by these lasers, which is kind of a thing she does in her last spell too. But the really tricky part is you have to get through the holes in those white pellet bullets while you're going around. And you have to go around pretty quickly, so you have to get through those holes pretty quickly. And it's difficult. This one, Apollo 13, this might be her hardest one actually, other than maybe her last spell. It didn't take me as many tries as at least one of the others, but it's ridiculously hard. And there's no way I can do this consistently. It takes some luck for me to get through this. But you can't really just rely on luck either. You have to be able to read it at least a little bit, because it would take you forever to luck through the whole thing. But it's really hard, and she has a really similar crossing thing to that in her mid-boss non-spell, which you'll see on 6B. That's also really hard, and I'll probably just bomb through it. But anyway, yeah, that one is... That's not even the one I just did. That one is... Jeez, come on now. Come on, keys. That one is really hard. Yeah, that's what I just did. And then this is her last spell, which you've actually already seen in the intro video. And it's not as hard as some of her others, but it's certainly harder with the border team than it is with the magic team. So if you've managed to endure all of the hellish experiences of playing Marissa and Alice throughout the game up to this point, and you choose 6A instead of 6B, then congratulations, you've got by far the easiest final spell card of any game in the series, by far. But you have to dodge a lot more stuff with the border team than you do with the magic team, just because Reimu is so much slower at taking out these familiars than Marissa is. I think this spell card was basically just written in as an apology to everybody who stuck it out with Marissa and Alice up to this point. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think that, well, I mean, what happens is you have those familiars that just sit there and don't do anything until one of the blue-purple bubble bullets passes through them. And when you see the bubble bullet go through them, you can see the familiars shake, and then they spawn out a bunch of bullets. So if you take the familiars out, then you don't have to deal with nearly as many bullets, because you have fewer familiars spawning bullets. And eventually the goal is to take out all the familiars, so you don't have to deal with any bullets other than just those single bubble bullets, which are not an issue at all. Now, what I'm not 100% sure of, but what I think happens is that every time a bullet passes through those familiars and they spawn bullets, I think they spawn more and more bullets each time, because it certainly seems to get denser toward the end. But who knows. And finally we have her last spell, which is... I don't think it's the toughest spell card in the game, but it's certainly one of them, and that's not it. Do I not have it? I need to go find a replay of it. Yeah, that's not it. Okay, that's her mid-boss card from 6B. So hold on, let me go get another. Let me go get the replay of that. Alright, here we are, number 147, Horai Elixir, which is an actually important plot element in the story, the Horai Elixir. Basically what happened was Kaguya, the stage 6B boss, was a princess on the moon with the tribe of, or the civilization that lived on the moon. And Eirin was basically a top advisor and a basically genius chemist, pharmacist, whatever. And so Kaguya had her make this Horai Elixir, which is an elixir of immortality. And this is actually from an old Japanese story from classical literature called The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, I think, about a princess from the moon, and the Horai Elixir is involved. And you can look more into that if you're interested. But anyway, because of that, she was exiled, and Eirin left with her, and they also brought Raisin, who is, I guess, like, not necessarily a pet, but something like that. She's a rabbit from the moon. And anyway, so now they came to Gensokyo, and they're now hiding from the people on the moon who they fear might be looking for them. And that drives the plot of the game. So anyway, this is one of the most difficult spell cards in the game. And since I didn't, well, since it's the last spell, you can't bomb it anyway, but I did it in spell practice where you can't bomb. So that sort of annoying honking was me hitting the bomb button, because I sort of thought of it as Chen cheering Yukari on, Yukari and Ran on in this spell card. Because this took me a lot of tries, and each try is pretty long, because this is a long spell card, so I needed things to amuse myself. So anyway, the beginning is actually pretty easy once you know the pattern. I mean, it will probably hit you the first time you face it, but once you get it down, this is pretty consistent. So you can also farm a lot of time orbs and a lot of grays on this if you want, which I started doing too, just because I got bored. Now this phase is not hard, but it can kind of be a bit mean. It depends on if those red rings overlap in each other's gaps or not. It did a little bit on one of those, but it wasn't as bad as it sometimes is. Now this is where it first gets hard, so you can see every attempt you have to play through all that to get to the hard part, and then this took me forever to be able to do it all, and it's still really hard, but I can kind of do it now. Just you really have to learn to deal with crossing patterns, which is kind of a theme in this game. And now this part, it's the final 20 seconds of the spell actually take something like 40 seconds because time slows down to half speed, which is good because you get a lot more precision with your movement because you're moving at half speed too. So these really tight gaps are actually doable because of that, but it also means it takes forever, and by this time you're incredibly nervous, and then this happens, and you can get cheap shotted by one of those white bullets coming in a gap that you don't even see, and oh my goodness, that when I finally captured that, I was so relieved, I guess. But it is a very epic final spell. And if you play 6A, that's the last spell that you face, and so quite difficult. One of the hardest in the game. I don't think it's quite the hardest in the game, but it is very hard because of those last two phases, and it takes forever because there's a lot of easier stuff that you have to go through before you even get to that. So anyway, that is Eirin Yagokoro, stage 6A boss, and some people consider her harder than the 6B boss, and canonically I think Zune has actually said that she is holding back her power out of respect for the 6B boss. So Eirin is probably, at least canonically, considered the more powerful of the two. But anyway, it's a different type of spell card from what we see with 6B, and we'll get to that next time. So that should be the final episode, and I hope you've enjoyed it so far.